next concept that we will learn is the mole concept. What is the mole concept? The mole is actually contains an Avogadro number. Okay. Now what is the Avogadro number? Avogadro number is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. How is it denoted by Na? Now this number can be the number of any particle, any entities. Okay. So what can that particles be? That particles can be, let's say, electrons. Then it can be atoms. It can be molecules. Okay. It can be what? Species. Okay, reacting species. Okay, anything of these would be that Avogadro number. Okay, so this is a very important entity, and this is how we actually measure the amount of a substance. Scientifically, it is not kilograms or grams. Rather than saying we measure the amount of substance, I say count the number of substances. Okay, so how do I understand this? So 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 number of particles. Now let's say if I take a sodium atom. Okay, now if I take this Avogadro number of sodium atoms, okay, what would this be? This would be 6.023 to 10 to the power 23 atoms of sodium, right? Now if I take 17 grams of ammonia, now I will tell you why I have taken the 17 gram. I will explain you later. Now this will also contain Avogadro number of ammonia molecules. Okay, so right. So this Avogadro number can be measured in terms of weight. I can say I can take this number of molecules and I can take its measurement, and I know that that would come out to some value. That will also be learned in molar mass. Okay. Then other than that, if I take Na and then put this in a solution, okay, where there is water. Now what happens if I take 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of sodium in a solution? What I get, and I pass electricity through this. Okay, somehow I have a solution of NaCl and I pass electricity through the solution, and what I will get is Na gives us Na plus 1 electron, right? Now I have taken Avogadro number of atoms of Na. Now what? And I have NaCl actually in the solution. Okay. So when it gets into the solution, it dissociates into Na plus and electron minus, which is taken by chlorine atom, right? So if I take Avogadro number of sodium atoms, what it will give? It will give Avogadro number of sodium plus ions and Avogadro number of electrons, right? When I am writing here 1 electron, it is for 1 atom. But when I can also take this for Avogadro number of substances also, right? So this is all about mole. Now the next concept that we will learn is about the molar mass. Okay. So what is a molar mass? So molar mass is, if I take Avogadro number of particles, now it can be atoms, it can be molecules, anything of this kind would give us the molar mass of the substance. Okay. So what I will do is, for any substance, now let's say if I as I was giving you the example of sodium. So if I take this Avogadro number of sodium atoms and I will take its weight, total weight of all these atoms, whatever mass I get out in that would be in terms of grams. Actually, when we actually measure them, it is in terms of grams. So these many particles will give out only for sodium atom to be 23 grams. So I understand that 23 grams of a sodium atom, if I am weighing and taking it, how many molecules, how many atoms will it have? It will have Avogadro number of atoms, right? And other, what I can do is, now 23 is also the atomic mass unit of sodium. Okay, so for sodium, if 23 is the atomic mass unit, now if you understand, if I take atomic mass unit in terms of grams, that contains the Avogadro number of particles. I can say it in this way also. Initially, I had measured 35.5 grams of chlorine. Okay, so that is the average mass. So every time what we take is 35 average mass of a substance. Now, if I take the average mass of a substance in terms of grams, okay, so 35.5 initially was my AMU. Now, if I take this in grams, so I actually weigh 35.5 grams of chlorine atoms, only chlorine atoms. What will it turn out to be? It will turn out to be these many number of atoms of chlorine. Okay, so this will contain Avogadro number of atoms of chlorine. Okay, now with gases, this becomes a little tricky. What happens if I take Avogadro number of atoms of chlorine? Now, let's not take Avogadro number. Let's say if I have 2 atoms of chlorine with me, will the atoms remain as it is? We know that they want to satisfy their valency, so they will form a bond. So I know that chlorine actually doesn't exist as in atomic state, it exists in the molecular state. Okay, so if I have 2 atoms of chlorine, I get 1 molecule of chlorine, right? So the reaction goes like 2 atoms of chlorine will give us 1 molecule of chlorine. So I can write this as 2Cl. 2Cl giving me 1 Cl2. Okay. Now suppose if I take 4Cl, what will that give me? That will give me 2Cl2, because out of the 4 chlorine atoms, there will be 2 such chlorine molecules which would be formed, and therefore I'll get 2 chlorine atoms, right? And in this way, if I take any number which is Avogadro number of chlorine atoms, what will that give me? If you see this relation, what is happening? It is actually dividing by a factor of 2, because that the 2 atoms are combining into 1 atom. So the number of molecules that are formed is half of the number of atoms which is present. So 2 atoms are converted to 1 molecule, 4 atoms are converted to 2 molecules. And if any number of chlorine atoms I have, what will I get? Na by 2 number of chlorine molecules. So if I have Avogadro number of chlorine molecules or any gaseous atom and it forms a diatomic molecule, so the actual number of atoms present in the molecule would be half of it if it is forming a diatomic molecule. Similarly would be the case for oxygen atom also. So oxygen plus oxygen forms oxygen molecule. Now if I take any number of oxygen molecules, which is Avogadro number of oxygen molecules, it will give me Na by 2 number of oxygen molecules. So sorry, I am taking any number of oxygen atoms. So any number of oxygen atoms will give me Na by 2 number of oxygen molecules. Okay, so for diatomicity this is the case. Now if I form ozone molecule, so ozone is what? 3 atoms of oxygen. So if 3 atoms of oxygen give me ozone molecule, okay, now the atomicity here is 3. Atomicity is what? The number of atoms in a particular molecule. Here atomicity is 3. Now if I take any atoms or 1 mole of which is called as 1 mole, okay, this much number of atoms taken is equal to 1 mole of the substance. This is why it is called as a mole value. Okay, so if I take 1 mole of oxygen atoms, so it's just oxygen atoms, so what I will get? Na by 3 number of oxygen molecules, right? So if you understand this concept clearly, now there is also one thing about gaseous molecules. What happens with gaseous molecules is we have a particular volume at which we can measure the volume of the gas. Now what happens if I have 22.4, it is actually measured as 22.4 decimeter cube of decimeter cube. Now I explain you initially, if you remember in the conversions, decimeter cube, 1 decimeter cube is equal to 1 liter. Okay, so 22.4 decimeter cube, this is the actual volume of the of any gas at STP. Now what are the STP conditions? 1 bar pressure and 273 Kelvin. So pressure and temperature conditions, when they are mentioned, this is STP conditions. So at STP conditions, if I have this much 22.4 decimeter cube or 22.4 liter of any gas, so that will be equal to that will contain Avogadro number of atoms into it. Okay, if you remember from the Gale-Lussac's law, what does it say? Not Gale-Lussac's law, the Avogadro's law. What does it say? Equal volumes of gases under same conditions of temperature and pressure contain same number of molecules. Okay, so right. So for what will happen for chlorine? Let's say for chlorine, what will happen if I take 22.4 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms? Somehow I try such that there is no reaction of chlorine atoms, and I take 22.4 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms. Okay, so what will happen is, I know that chlorine atom cannot stay as atom, it will combine into molecule. So if I have 22.4 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms, now what will they combine into? They will combine into molecules. Now 22.4, why is this value taken? Because this is the number of, as I said, number of Avogadro number of atoms present. Okay, so when I actually take, let's say, inert gases do not combine to give us molecules. So if I, let's say, take 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of neon, so that will be what? 22.4 decimeter cube. If I take 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of helium, of krypton, any such inert gas if I take, and if I take these many number of atoms of that inert gas, what I will get? I will get 22.4 decimeter cube volume of that gas. Okay, right? Now, but what happens when it doesn't exist as atom? So for that case, I am explaining you. So if I have 22.4 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms, what will they do? I know that two chlorine atoms combine and give us chlorine molecules. Okay. Now this total volume is 22.4 decimeter cube. Initially this was any number of atoms, which was giving me Na/2 number of molecules of chlorine. Okay. So Na is Avogadro number. Okay. So if with number of molecules the number reduces by half, what will happen with volume? The volume will also reduce by half. So the volume will become half, which is equal to 11.2 decimeter cube. Do you understand? So the volume also reduces to half, the atoms also reduces to half to give us absolute number of molecules. So how much, what would be the volume of the chlorine molecule present? That would be 11.2 decimeter cube. Similarly, it will be the case with oxygen also. Oxygen also, what would it be? A 22.4 decimeter cube of oxygen atoms will give me what? 11.2 decimeter cube of oxygen atoms. Okay, so this is very important for gases. Generally we can get confused with this, how many number of atoms, molecules, or what. Now one more thing. Now if I say that if I have any atoms of chlorine, and then if they react to form chlorine molecule, I will have Na/2 atom molecules of chlorine. Now if suppose what I do is, I don't want Na/2 atoms of chlorine molecules. Now chlorine molecule is independent entities. What is happening? If there are 10 chlorine atoms, I am getting 5 chlorine molecules, right? But I want Avogadro number of chlorine molecules. So I want 6.023 to 10 to the power 23. This is actually 23. This much number, 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of chlorine molecules is what I want. Okay. So this is what I desire. Atoms of chlorine. Okay. Now what is happening with chlorine molecules? If I have 5 chlorine molecules, what I'll have to take? I'll have to take 10 atoms of chlorine. So with atoms, it is actually multiplying up. So if I want to take this much atoms of chlorine molecules, so from what it will be made? It will be made from 2 times of 6.023 into 10 to the power 23. Am I right? So atoms of chlorine. going from chlorine atoms to chlorine molecule, it is dividing by half. So 2 into 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms will be divided by half. So 2 and 2 will get cancelled. So I'll get this much atoms of chlorine molecules. Okay. So if I want 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of chlorine, then I will have to take 2 times of the Avogadro number. Right. And with respect to volume, now I don't want 11.2 decimeter cube. What I want is, I want 22.4 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms. So for that, if I want 22.4 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms, I will require what? This will become double. Now 11.2 was doubling up, so this will also double up. So this would become 44.8 decimeter cube. Okay. So what I have to do, I will have to make sure I take chlorine atoms such that they don't react. As soon as I take 44.8 decimeter cube of chlorine atoms, they will immediately react to give us chlorine molecules. But if I actually want this from these chlorine molecules, this is the volume, right? So when I say that when I say, like I will make such statements, when I have 6.023 atoms of chlorine molecules, I am speaking of atoms. When I have these much atoms of chlorine molecules, so what I'll do is I will summarize this up. So what I have, 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of chlorine, right? So actually this much atoms of any gas, if they do not react, will be what? The volume would be 22.4 decimeter cube. But since I know this reacts and the volume reduces to half, so this much atoms of chlorine will occupy how much volume? It will be actually 11.2 decimeter cube of a volume. Why? Because they are forming a Cl2, and Cl2 the volume will ultimately reduce. Okay, because the volume is actually determined by the number of particles. They don't care what the particle is, whether it is a chlorine, whether it is a Cl2. Now I know from 6.023 into 10 to the power 23, half of the atoms are half of the entities are remaining. Okay, each chlorine entities, because what is happening? Every atom is combining and half of it is remaining. So if half of this is remaining, so how much? Half of the Avogadro number of atoms is, entities are remaining. So if half is remaining, volume will also reduce to half, right? So with volume, this is the case. Now if I have 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of any inert gas, let's say helium. So what will this be? This will be 22.4 decimeter cube, because I know that they do not react amongst each other and they will remain as independent entities. So I will have these much atoms of helium in that STP conditions, and therefore that will come out to be 22.4 decimeter cube as volume. Okay. Now same is the case with oxygen also. Okay. So what happens? Now this was all about gases. Now we will learn in terms of the weights. Initially we were learning in terms of volumes. Now we will learn in terms of weights. Now as I was telling, we have calculated the atomic mass units which we had done previously. So we had taken standard as 1/12 of the mass of carbon 12, and then what we did, we compared various weights and then we calculated the atomic mass units. Now we know the atomic mass units. Let's say for sodium this is 23. For hydrogen this is 1.0078 actually, but which is taken as 1. So for 1/12 of a carbon 12 is 1. So carbon 12 would be what? Total 12. Then let's say if I have helium, helium is equal to 4. Then if I have let's say fluorine is equal to 19. Okay. So what are these values? These are the values of the weights with respect to the actual how much heavy it is with respect to 1/12 of that mass, which I was explaining as a standard mass. Okay, so this is what I understand. Now if I take these atomic mass units in terms of grams, now if I take sodium as 23 grams, hydrogen as 1 gram, carbon 12 as 12 grams, this is also in grams. So what I will take, if they do not react, if they are existing as independent entity, how much atoms will I have? These many number of atoms, 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of sodium, hydrogen, carbon, helium, fluorine. But if I see hydrogen and if I take fluorine, what is exceptional case between them? They actually react. They form hydrogen molecule and fluorine forms fluorine molecule. So if I have 6.023 to 10 to the power 23 atoms of hydrogen, what will I have? Half the number of this, which is equal to 3.01 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of hydrogen. Similarly with this, half of the Avogadro number of fluorine molecules, right? You understand? It reduces to half. Okay. Now when I take the atomic mass units in grams, I get the total number of molecules, atoms of that entity, right? Now this can also be with compounds. Now if I take NaCl and if I say that if I have taken 1 mole, which is Avogadro number of Na atoms, and what I am taking is chlorine exists as Cl2, right? Chlorine exists as Cl2. So how much will be, if I now see, now if I take 1 mole of Cl2, what will this be? 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of Cl2. Okay. But each molecule has what? Each molecule has 2 atoms of Cl2. So these many molecules will have how much? 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 into 2 atoms of Cl2. Okay. So do I want twice the number of atoms? No. I want only 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 number of atoms. Okay. So if I want only these much number of atoms, so I'll have to divide this by 2. So 2 and 2 will cancel. So to divide this by 2, this will also be divided by 2. Okay. So I will not take Avogadro number of fluorine molecules. What I will take? Half the Avogadro number of fluorine molecules. Okay. Now how will I get half the number of fluorine molecules? When I take Avogadro number of chlorine atoms. So Avogadro number of chlorine atoms will give me what? Avogadro number by 2 molecules of chlorine. Okay. So if such is a case, I will take Avogadro number of chlorine atoms to get Avogadro number by 2 of molecules of chlorine atom. Okay. From here also I can understand. If I don't understand these in details, I can understand from this. Now if I have any number of sodium atoms, Avogadro number, which is written as Na, what? Na is this number. This is what I am telling as Na, which is Avogadro number. So Avogadro number means 1 mole of, okay. So 1 mole of chlorine is what? 1 mole of chlorine is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of chlorine. But when it comes to atoms, because atoms are actually reacting, they'll break down and give us atoms. So how much would be atoms? Atoms would be 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 into 2 atoms. So I do not want 2 atoms. I want any number of chlorine atoms and any number of sodium atoms. So to get just chlorine atoms as any number, I'll have to take half of the chlorine molecules, right? So if I take half of the chlorine molecules, I will get 1 mole or Avogadro number of NaCl atoms. So how much is NaCl when I combine this molecule of this formula? This is 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 molecules of NaCl. Fine. So NaCl, when I count, actually I will get Avogadro number of NaCl atoms. Okay. Now if you don't understand these calculations, understand from here. Now if I have so this is what? This is actually balancing out the reaction. So if I have any atoms and if I have Cl2 atoms to give me NaCl. Now the total number of atoms on the left hand side should be equal to total number of atoms on the right hand side. So here I have 1 atom of Na and 1 atom of Na. But for Cl2 there are 2 atoms is to 1 atoms. So instead of 2 atoms, what will I want? I will want 1 atom. Because here I have 1 atom. So what I can do is I can divide this by half. Okay. So this half and this 2 will get cancelled, which I will get as 1 atom of chlorine, and this is how I get the reaction. Okay. So this was all about mole and a molar mass concept. Okay. The next concept that we will learn is to calculate how to get the number of moles of any substance. Okay. Now, as I was talking previously, I was telling about how many. Like I was saying that if I take atomic mass unit of any substance and if I take it in grams, that would be 1 mole. Okay. Now let's say for sodium. Sodium, the atomic mass unit is 23. Now if I take this atomic mass unit in grams, this will be equal to 1 mole. Now what is this 1 mole? This 1 mole is equal to 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of sodium. Okay. Yeah. So this is equal to 1 mole, and for gases, if I take chlorine atom, 1 mole of chlorine atoms, that is 35.5 grams. Okay, but it exists as Cl2, so this will be 1 mole of chlorine atoms, or if I say half mole of chlorine molecules, right? I can say it that way. So this would be half mole of chlorine molecules, which is 35.5 grams, which is 1 mole of chlorine atoms. Now this will be equal to 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 atoms of chlorine, or 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 upon 2 molecules of chlorine. Right? So we understand all these stuff. Now if I have 23 grams of sodium, so that is equal to 1 mole, which is equal to these many number of atoms. But what if I don't have 23 grams of sodium, but if I have, let's say, 46 grams of sodium. So 46 grams would be what? This is 2 times of the weight of the sodium. So there would be 2 moles of sodium, right? Which will be equal to 2 into the Avogadro number, which is this number atoms of sodium. Okay. So with 46 grams, suppose I have, let's say, 26 grams. So how many moles would these be? So to calculate such values where I have the weight of the substance, but I also want to find out what is the number of moles. Now see, if I had 46, what I did? I divided it by whatever is the number of moles in whatever is the weight of the 1 mole of sodium atom. So 46 divided by 23 would be 2. So this is how I got the number of moles. Okay, so this is how the formula is. Now what is number of moles? Mass of the substance in gram upon molar mass of the substance. Now as I was saying, for sodium atoms, if I have 26 grams of sodium atom, so the given mass of the substance in gram is 26 grams, and molar mass of the substance is what? 23. So when I say molar mass means what? 23 grams per mole. This means that in 1 mole of sodium atoms contains 23 grams. So this is how a molar mass of a substance is written. Let's say molar mass of if I say hydrogen atoms is equal to 1 gram per mole, which means in 1 mole of hydrogen atoms, the weight of that would be 1 gram. Okay, but if I take a molecular hydrogen, which is 1 mole of molecular hydrogen, what would it would be? There are 2 such molecules, 2 such atoms in 1 mole. So in what is the weight of 1 atom? It is 1 gram, so total it would be 2 grams. So if I take 1 mole of molecular hydrogen, that would be 2 grams per mole, right? So this is how we calculate the number of moles, the given mass upon the molar mass of the substance. The next thing that is very important is the equivalent mass. So there are times when we do not use molar mass, but we use the equivalent mass of the substance. Okay. So what is equivalent mass? The equivalent mass says how much of it reacts with. So first we'll write what is it? Equivalent mass. Now equivalent mass is what? How much of it reacts with 1 gram of hydrogen, or let's say 16 parts by weight of oxygen. So oxygen atom, or 35.5 parts by weight of chlorine atom. So if it reacts with any of these three, so how much of it is actually reacting is what we find out in equivalent mass. So 1 part by weight of hydrogen, 16 parts by weight of oxygen, and 35.5 parts by weight of chlorine. Okay, so yeah, so how do we understand this in physical terms? What is it happening? So there are different ways to calculate the equivalent mass for different substances. Now let's say I have to calculate the equivalent mass of an element. So EQ is equivalent. So equivalent mass of an element, what would be equal to? That would be equal to molar mass upon valency. Okay. Now I can take any element, right? Now if let's say I take magnesium atom. So what is the weight of the magnesium atom? It is 24 grams. Okay. So I am telling about magnesium. So magnesium has a valency of 2 plus. Okay. So what is the valency? Valency is 2. So what would be the equivalent mass of magnesium? 12 grams. So how much magnesium if it were to react with chlorine or if it were to react with oxygen? So with 8 parts by oxygen, how much magnesium would react? It would react 12 grams. With 35.5 parts of chlorine, how much would it react? 12 grams. Right? So rather than by reactions, we tell by using the valency, and for different substances we use different formulas. Okay? So this is about equivalent mass of an element. Now we will calculate different substances. Now let's see equivalent mass of an acid. So what is the equivalent mass of an acid? It is molar mass of the acid upon its basicity. Now what is basicity? Basicity of an acid is the number of replaceable H plus ions. Let's say in HCl, its basicity is 1. In H2SO4, there are 2 replaceable H plus ions, its basicity is 2. Okay. And in H3PO4, which is phosphoric acid, the basicity is 3. Okay. Now let's say for molar mass of HCl. HCl is what? 1 plus 35.5, which is 36.5 upon the basicity is 1. So what is the equivalent weight of HCl, which is 35.5. Now let's say for H2SO4. H2SO4 total molar mass, if you add all the elements, it comes out to be 98. So the molar mass is 98 grams per mole upon what is the basicity. So the basicity for H2SO4 is 2. So if we divide this, what do we get? 49. So it is 45 grams per mole. So this is the equivalent mass of an acid. Okay, 49 grams per mole. Right? Now what would be the equivalent mass of any base? So for base, what will we do? It will be molar mass of the base upon acidity of the base. Now what is acidity of the base? The number of replaceable OH minus ions. Okay. Now let's say I have calcium hydroxide. Okay. So what will this be? We'll substitute the molar mass of calcium hydroxide, and in the denominator what will we substitute? The acidity will be 2. Okay. Now if I take sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide, what is the molar mass? It is 23 plus 16 plus 1. Okay. So this is 40. So if I take molar mass is 40 grams per mole and divide it by 1, because the number of replaceable OH is 1. So the equivalent weight of base is of any OH is 40 grams per mole. Right? So this was the next thing that I was teaching was about a base. Now there are different things, different substances which we have to learn. The next substance that we have to learn is calculating the equivalent mass of, let's say, a salt. Now for a salt, what we have to do is we'll have to calculate the total positive ion. Total positive charge. Okay. So molar mass upon total positive charge is equivalent mass of a salt. Okay. So let's take an example of a salt. So let's say if I take an example of a salt like alum. Okay. So what is alum? Basically, alum is potassium sulfate, aluminium sulfate salt. Okay. Now if I want to find the equivalent mass of the salt, now what did I say? I'll have to take molar mass upon the total positive charge. Right? So as I'm saying, I will take alum. Alum is what? Potassium sulfate, a double salt. Aluminium, it is aluminium sulfate and some molecules of water. Okay, so total positive charge, if I see, so let's say suppose its molar mass is N. Okay, so the molar mass would be N. Now let's say if I have to calculate the total positive charge. Now what does charge of potassium is? It is 1. So for 2 potassium it will be plus 2 charge. And for aluminium, 1 aluminium is plus 3. And for 2 aluminium it would be plus 6. So what does this come out to be? Plus 8. So molar mass upon 8 is the equivalent mass of a salt. Okay. In the same way, what I can do is I can find out the equivalent mass of a reducing agent as well as the equivalent mass of an oxidizing agent. Okay. So what would be the equivalent mass of a reducing agent? Okay. So if I have to calculate the equivalent mass of a reducing or an oxidizing agent, so that will be the formula mass upon the number of electrons lost or total change in oxidation number. So total molar mass or formula mass. Okay. So that is actually the same thing when we calculate. So molar mass upon what? Upon total number of electrons lost. Now when it is reduction, what happens in reduction? The electrons are actually not lost, the electrons are gained. So the total number of electrons which are gained or total change in the oxidation state. Okay. So this is how we calculate equivalent mass of reducing agent. Similarly, the equivalent mass of an oxidizing agent would be what? So it would be similarly a molar mass so this molar mass upon what? The total electrons lost or change in oxidation number. So similarly with that. Okay. So I can give you an example for this. So we'll take a reaction of KMnO4. Now KMnO4 reacts in different ways in different conditions. In acidic, in basic and in neutral condition, the reaction of KMnO4 is different. I'll teach you one reaction of KMnO4 in acidic conditions and I'll give you the rest of the 2 reactions in the basic and as well as in the neutral reactions. Okay. So if I take the reaction of KMnO4, what is it? So it gives MnO4 minus plus 5 electrons plus 8H plus, right? This gives us Mn2 plus. Okay. Yeah. So this gives us Mn2 plus and 4 molecules of water. Okay. Now if I calculate the charge of Mn on this molecule, what is it? Now each oxygen atom has 2 minus charge. So there are 4 oxygen atoms. So total minus charge only due to oxygen atoms is minus 8. Okay. Now this total molecule has a charge of minus 1. So what should I have? X minus 8 should be equal to minus 1. Right. So this will be what? X is equal to minus 1 plus 8. So X will be equal to plus 7. Right. So Mn has a charge of plus 7. What is the charge of Mn here? It is plus 2. Now if I see the change, I said it was a change in the electrons. It is now here it is reducing, so the electrons gained or the total change in the electron oxidation state. So from plus 7 to plus 2, what is the change? The change is of plus 5. Okay. So when I have to calculate the equivalent mass of KMnO4 in acidic conditions, what I'll do, I'll substitute the molar mass of KMnO4, which is 158 grams per mole upon 8. Okay. So this is the equivalent mass of KMnO4 in acidic condition, which comes out nearly to be equal to 31.6. Okay. So this is the equivalent mass, right? Now the other way, the other is equivalent mass of oxidizing agent that I have explained you, right? The other thing that we have to learn is the percentage composition. Now this is also very important. Questions are asked from this topic also. So what is percentage composition? Now let's say if I have now percentage composition is calculated in terms of weight. So remember this point very clearly. Okay. So percentage composition means what? Now suppose in very simple terms, in terms of weight, now if I have, let's say, two substances, like if I have a duster and a pen, okay. Now if they are kept together, right? Now let's say if this is 25 grams, okay, and if let's say this is 75 grams. Now I'm keeping them together and I'm asking you what is the percentage by weight of the pen and the duster. So what I will say, this is 25%. Now I have taken the total weight, let's say 100 grams, and let's say that is 100%. So 25% of the total weight is of the pen and 75% of the total weight is of the duster, right? So this is how by weight we calculate the percentage composition of different substances. Like let's say if I have I can explain you with this with an example. Now I'll take an example. Now there's a question given. Now the question says that if I have let's say 100 grams, the question says that a compound contains 4.07% of hydrogen, okay. So 4.07% of hydrogen. So it is just given hydrogen. When they say hydrogen molecule, then you have to use H2. But when they say just hydrogen, so hydrogen is just H. Then what is the other things which are given? It is given that 24.27% by weight of carbon, and the other thing that is given is 71.65% by weight of chlorine. Now there is no other thing present, okay. So if I add these three substances, this comes out to be 100, okay, 100%. So what we have to do from what is the question asked? The question asks is what are its empirical and molecular formulas. So we have to calculate two things. We learn two things. What is the empirical formula, and the second thing that we have to learn, what is the molecular formula. Okay. So let's start. So what is the first thing that we have to do? We have to first convert the percentage. This is step 1. First convert the percentage into grams. Now let's say 4.0. So let's say we assume that total amount of the substance is 100 grams. So out of it, 4.07 grams is hydrogen, 24.27 grams is carbon, 71.65 grams is chlorine. Now if it is 100 out of 100 grams, if I have 4.07 grams of hydrogen, I can calculate the number of moles of hydrogen. So what would be the number of moles of hydrogen? It would be the given weight upon the molecular weight. So molecular weight of this hydrogen atom is 1. So this is approximately 4.07 moles. Okay. So the second step that we have to do is, first we have to convert into grams. Second step, we have to calculate the number of moles. So I'll calculate the number of moles of hydrogen. The next I'll calculate the number of moles of carbon. So this would be 24.27 upon 12. Okay, so this comes out to be around roughly 2.02. Okay, and the number of molecules of number of moles of chlorine would be what? 71.65 upon 35.5. So this comes out to be 2.02 moles of chlorine. Okay, so this is what we have got, the number of moles. Now what we can do is we can compare the number of moles of each substance. Now if I say the number of moles of hydrogen is 4, okay, so 4.07 is to 2.02 is to 2.02. Now what is the basic number which I can divide this by? Assume that these are just 4, 2 and 2. Okay, to be very simplified, because this have to be rounded off. So 4, 2 and 2, what I can do is I can divide this into a simple ratio. This becomes 2:1:1. I've divided all these by 2. Okay, so 2:1:1 is a simple ratio. So whatever comes out to be the simple ratio is the empirical mass. Okay, empirical formula. So the empirical formula comes out to be 2 of hydrogen, so it is H2, 1 of carbon and 1 of chlorine. Okay, so how do we actually write? CH2Cl. So this is the empirical formula. And molecular formula is what? Molecular formula is the actual ratio that we calculate. Okay, when we do not divide it by a simple numerical ratio. So if I had to calculate the molecular formula, so what would be the molecular formula? Without just considering the smallest ratio by which we have divided. So molecular formula comes out to be, so there are 4 hydrogen, 2 carbon and 2 chlorine. So how is this written? C2H4Cl2. Okay, so this is the molecular formula and this is the empirical formula. This is the steps that you have to follow, and this is how the pattern of the questions would be with respect to percentage composition. So the next part that we will learn is stoichiometry and stoichiometric calculations. Now why this is important? Because this is what is applied in chemical reactions. Now we'll take one chemical reaction, which is the combustion of methane. So methane, if we have to, if it reacts with oxygen, what we get? We get carbon dioxide and water. Okay. So if I balance this, so I have hydrogen here 2, so this will be 2 here. So 2 oxygen plus 2 oxygen becomes 4 oxygen. So this becomes 2, so 4 oxygen. Right? Now, if I have to calculate the stoichiometric relationship between them, now what I can see is 1 mole of methane. Now I will write 4 statements. Okay? So the first statement is 1 mole of methane reacts with 2 moles of oxygen molecule to give us carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so this is the first statement in terms of moles. The second statement that I am making is 1 molecule of methane reacts with 2 molecules of oxygen. Okay, so I am speaking of this particular reaction. The third statement that I can make is, if I calculate the total atomic mass or molar mass of this, it is 12 grams plus 4 of hydrogen, which is 16. So 16 grams of methane reacts with, now oxygen, just one oxygen molecule is 16, and 16 into 2 is 32, and 32 into 2 is 64. So this is 64 grams of oxygen. Okay, so this becomes in terms of grams. So the fourth statement that I'll make in terms of volume. Okay, so 22 at STP. Okay, 22.4 decimeter cube of CH4 methane reacts with, now how much is the volume? 2 times. So this becomes 44.8 decimeter cube of oxygen. Okay, so these are the various ways in which we can relate the two reactants. Okay, in terms of volume, in terms of weight, in terms of molecules, in terms of moles. Okay, so yeah, so this is what the stoichiometric calculations helps. Now maybe they can give the weight of weight of one substance and ask you to find the volume of the final product. Okay, so what you will do, you will so there are 3 relations that you have to follow. The relation is mass relationship, mole relationship and volume relationship. Okay, so they can be interconvertible. Okay, so mass, moles, volume and number of molecules. Mass, moles, volume, especially of gases. Okay, and number of molecules. So these can be interconverted. Now, as I was telling, between these two reactants, I can do the same things with, let's say, one reactant and one product. Okay, so if I have been given mass of some reactant and I have been asked to, let's say, calculate volume of some product. So what I'll do, I'll use a relationship of what? Mass versus volume relationship. Let's say if I have been given that 16 grams of methane is used to do the combustion reaction, how much volume of carbon dioxide is produced? So 16 grams versus volume. So 16 grams will produce what? 22.4 decimeter cube of carbon dioxide. So in such a manner, there can be other ways also of relating. Now the other one more thing that I have not told you is that we can also calculate the number of moles using the volume of the solution at STP. Now if I know that the volume of the solution at STP, not of the solution, of the gas. Now let's say the volume of the gas at STP is 44.8 grams. So I know that what is the volume. Now if I know what is the, I know that the volume of any gas at STP is 22.4. So if I take 22.4, so this is how I get 2. So from the moles of, from the volume of the gas, I can also calculate the number of moles of the gas. Okay. So this was all about stoichiometry and stoichiometric calculations. The next thing that we have to learn is the limiting and the excess reagents. Now, what is limiting and excess reagents? Now let's say, suppose in the same reaction, I am being asked that, now I know that 16 grams of methane was reacting with 48 grams of oxygen, right? But in case of, let's say, not 16 grams, now if I have been given, okay, now if I was given 16 grams was reacting with what? Reacting with 48 grams of oxygen. Okay. Now let's say if I'm being given 48, not 48, but I have taken 50 grams. So what becomes? Actually, in practicality, 16 and 48 only are going to react. The 2 grams of oxygen are going to remain as it is. Okay. But we have, there are times when we take some reagents excess. Like if there is water availability, there is too much of water so that the reaction goes faster. So one of the reagent we take in excess. Although that will not react at the end of the reaction, it will remain. But still we take in excess. So this is taken in excess. So instead of 48, 50 is taken. So if this is in excess, what this becomes? This becomes a limiting reagent. 16 is going to react and 16 is only present. So this becomes a limiting reagent. Okay. And in this way, we can be given two different weights of substances. Let's say if I am given not such high values, if I am given, let's say, 2 grams of methane reacts with 1 gram of oxygen. So which is the limiting and which is the excess reagent can be asked. Okay. Now let's say in this case, if I have 2 grams of methane, now I know that 16 grams of methane was reacting with what? 48 grams of oxygen. Okay. So how much should 2 gram react with? 2 grams should react with, so we'll do cross multiplication, 2 into 48 divided by 16. So this would be, so this becomes 6 grams. So this should react with 6 grams. Okay. But 6 grams is not given, only 1 gram is given. I can do it other way also. Now suppose I don't know what, now I had substituted 2 grams and then I got 6 grams. The other way what I can do is I can substitute the other reagent. Now let's say, suppose if I have 1 gram of oxygen, how much will methane would be? So methane would be how much? 16 into 1 divided by 48. So this comes out to be 1 upon 4, which is 0.25 grams. So actually 0.25 will react with 1 gram. But how much is present? 2 grams is present. So what becomes in such a case? This becomes an excess reagent and this becomes a limiting reagent. Right? The last part that we will learn is the reaction in solutions. Now there are basic formulas which we also learn in the solutions chapter. But then there are questions that are asked from this chapter in terms of solutions. So to clear this out, we will also do a few formulas. So the next thing that we will learn is reaction in solutions, right? So to understand the stoichiometry and stoichiometric relationships, we should know how the solutions are measured, like how the concentrations are measured. Now the first way is using the mass percentage. So what is mass percentage? It is mass of the solute upon total mass of the solution. See, there are different ways in which the denominator could be used. Now here it is total mass of the solution. Okay, so be very careful about how the formula is formulated. So total mass of the solution into 100. So if I have to calculate anything in terms of percentage, I have to calculate in terms of 100. Now let's say if I have 5 grams of a solute, I have added this in, let's say 20 grams of a solution. So 20 grams of a solution means what? It is 5 grams of a solute and 15 grams of solvent. So 5 plus 15 gives us 20 grams of solution. So they can also do this way, that they can give the weight of the solute, they can give the weight of the solvent, and then ask the mass percentage. So what you have to do in the denominator, you have to add both the masses. So 5 upon 50 into 20. So this turns out to be 1 upon 4 into 20, which is equal to 5%. So out of the total weight of the solution, 5% of the weight of the solution is of the solute. Okay. The next thing that we have to learn is mole fraction. Now what is mole fraction? Now the same thing that we were doing in this way in terms of weight, we will do in terms of the moles of the solute as well as the solvent, or let's say any two substances which are mixed together, right? So if I have mole fraction, so the formula is, mole fraction is firstly denoted by a unit chi. Okay, so chi is the unit, is the symbol for mole fraction. Now what is it? Number of moles of I upon total number of moles. Okay, so how can we calculate this? Let's say if, for an example, if I have 2 moles of NaCl, it is dissolved in what? 44 moles of water. So calculate the mole fraction of NaCl. So the mole fraction of NaCl would be equal to number of moles of NaCl, which is 2, upon total number of moles. So 44 is the number of moles of water. So 44 plus 2 becomes 46. So 2 upon 46, which is 1 upon 23, would be the mole fraction of NaCl. So 1 upon 23, 1 upon 23rd moles is the total from the total number of moles is the number of moles of NaCl. Now if we calculate the moles of water, so what would be water? It would be 46 number of moles of water upon total moles. Sorry, 44. So the number of moles of water is 44 upon total number of moles is 46. So this comes out to be 22 upon 23. Okay. Now if you see, if you add both the moles, chi of NaCl plus chi of water, so what would this would be equal to? 1 upon 23 plus 22 upon 23. So 20, now if the denominator is equal, so 22 plus 1, this becomes 23 upon 23, this is equal to 1. So the total addition of mole fractions becomes unity, right? So that is why individual mole fractions, it is actually a fraction. If you see, these are actually fractions. Okay, so this is how we calculate mole fraction. The other important formula that we learn is molarity. Now what is molarity? Molarity is also a way to determine the concentration of the solution. Now what we learned, these two was the mass fraction and the mass percentage and mole fraction. These were also the ways to calculate the concentration, but a very widely used term is molarity. So what is molarity? Molarity is equal to number of moles of solute. So number of moles of solute upon total number of moles, total volume, not moles, total volume of solution. If you see the initial two parameters, mass fraction depends on mass. Okay, so even if I change the temperature, if I take at different temperatures, the mass percentage will remain same because mass will not change with temperature. Okay, now the second was mole fraction. Mole fraction also what contains number of moles. What is number of moles? The given weight upon molecular weight, which is also a ratio of mass. That mass will not change, so number of moles will also not change. Now in this molarity, the volume of the solution is taken. So denominator has a volume factor. So we know that with temperature, volume changes. So with temperature, what is the relation with volume? Volume is directly related to temperature. Now when the temperature is increased, volume will increase. So the denominator will decrease. So with increase in temperature, if the denominator increases, so what will happen? Overall the value decreases. Okay. Now to give you an example, let's say if I have 1 upon 2. Okay. And if I increase the denominator to let's say 1 upon 3. Which of the two numbers is higher? If 1 upon 2 is 0.5, this is 0.3. So 0.5 is higher. So if the denominator increases, the value decreases. Okay. So if volume is increasing with increase in temperature, the value of molarity will decrease. Okay. So this is a temperature dependent quantity and therefore temperature should be mentioned when we are calculating molarity. Now, how to calculate number of moles? It is given weight upon molecular weight. So if I know, let's say the number of moles of a solute is 2, and if I know the total volume of the solution, now the volume of the solution should be in decimeter cube in molarity. Okay, so I have to, if I'm given the volume of the solution in centimeter cube or in meter cube, so I'll have to convert that in decimeter cube. We learn this in questions. Now if I have let's say 1 decimeter cube of a solution, so what would be the molarity? So this is moles, 2 moles upon 1 decimeter cube. This comes out to be 2 mole per decimeter cube. Okay, so this is the molarity of the solution. Now initially I didn't tell you the units about mass percentage. Now mass percentage is what? Mass of the solute, which is in grams, upon total mass of the solution, which is also in grams into 100. So mass fraction is unitless because the grams and grams cancel off. And number of moles is what? Number of moles of solute, which is moles, some value in moles, and total number of moles of both the substances, which is also again mole. So mole and mole cancel out, so this also is unitless. But molarity has a unit, mole per decimeter cube, or it is also written as any mole per decimeter cube is written as a capital M. So this is a unit of molarity. The next thing that we learn is molality. Now molality, how does it change? Now this was total number of moles upon volume. So that is total number of moles upon weight of the solvent. Be very clear about this. This is the only, molarity is the only thing where we use the weight of the solvent. Otherwise we use the total number of moles, total mass of the solution, total volume of the solution. But molality uses only the weight of the solvent. So this is equal to number of moles of solute upon weight of the solvent. Okay, in kg. This is also very important. So the weight of the solvent in kg. Okay, now let's say if I am given 2 moles of a solute and I am given the total, I am given the weight of the solvent. Let's say the weight of the solvent is 20 kg. Okay, 2 upon 20. So this becomes 1 upon 10, which is equal to 0.1. 0.1 what? So this is mole and this is kg. So this becomes mole upon kg, which is also written as 0.1 moles per kg. Right? So this is molality. Now weight and number of moles do not depend upon temperature. There is no volume thing. Weight will not depend on temperature. So this is also a temperature independent quantity. Only molarity was a temperature dependent quantity. Now the last thing that we will learn is the normality. So what is normality? Normality is generally used for reactions or for calculating how much amount we need of base or acid. So that is why normality is used. So for the normality, we have to learn actually 2 formulas. It is number of equivalents of solute upon total volume of the solution. Now this also contains volume term. So this is again a temperature dependent. Okay. cube. Now number of equivalents what? Now number of equivalents also has a. Now if if I have to calculate number of equivalents is what? Molar mass upon equivalent weight. Now how did this come from? Now just before what I was doing, if I had to calculate the equivalent weight of substances, equivalent weight was what? Molar mass upon, let's say if it was an element, it was valency. If it is an oxidizing or a reducing agent, it was a total number of electrons exchanged, the change in the oxidation state. And if it was acidic, acid, it was molar mass upon basicity. If it was a base, it was molar mass upon acidity. Okay, so let's say if I take equivalent weight of a acid, so it would be molar mass upon basicity. So this basicity or acidity which I am writing in the denominator is equal to number of equivalents, right? So this is what I am calculating. If I take basicity onto this side, what will it come out to be? Molar mass upon equivalent weight. So basicity or number of equivalents is molar mass upon equivalent weight, right? Now let's say if I have to calculate this thing for H2SO4. Now H2SO4, I know that the molar mass is 98 and the equivalent weight is 49. How do I get this as 49? I will calculate from here. What is equivalent weight? Equivalent weight is what? Molar mass upon basicity. So number of replaceable H plus is 2. So 98 upon 2, this is 49. So the equivalent weight is 49. So if I have the equivalent weight, I will substitute in this. So molar mass upon equivalent weight will give me number of equivalents. So this comes out to be 2 for H2SO4. Now this number of equivalents is what I will be substituting. So remember, in normality we actually don't substitute any weights. We first calculate the number of equivalents out of it and then substitute that value. So let's say the number of equivalents for H2SO4, I am calculating normality, is 2, and let's say the volume of the solution is 1 decimeter cube. So this comes out to be 2 normal. Okay. Now let's say if it is NaOH. Now NaOH, what is the total molar mass of NaOH is 40. Okay. Now what is the replaceable H plus ions? 1. So molar mass upon replaceable H plus ions is 1. So the equivalent weight comes out to be 40. Okay. So 40 is equal to equivalent weight of NaOH. Now what would be number of equivalents for NaOH? So number of equivalents would be equal to 40, which is molar mass, and what is the equivalent weight that come out to be, which is also 40. So number of equivalents is 1. Okay. So for NaOH, what would be the normality? Normality would be equal to number of equivalents, which is 1. And let's say the volume of the solution is 1 decimeter cube. So this comes out to be 1 normal. Okay. So this was all about normality and all about some basic concepts of chemistry. And in the next topic, next video lecture, what we'll do is we'll solve questions that were asked in the previous years. So that will give you a clear idea about how the questions are asked and what all do we have to prepare, how do we approach the questions. Okay, thank you.